All right, council.
Okay, you are now live.
We are live, so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. I'll remind council of any pecuniary interest at the appropriate time. Please inform us of that. And we will go to the minutes of the previous council meeting. Do we have a mover and a seconder to receive and file those minutes? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That is carried. We have several scheduled meetings and events coming up. Just a reminder to anyone who is watching on YouTube that we have moved our council meetings to begin at 6 o'clock from here on in. And we will go to 7A, councillors' commitments. Does anybody have any changes or additions to that schedule?
May 8th,
Oh,
May
sorry.
8th to 14th, sorry.
Good. Anything else? All right, then we will go to councillors' items. I'm going to start with Councillor Westgate today.
I just had an inquiry about the fence at the subdivision there from one of they would like to have it up sooner than later. Just wanted to make sure we're doing something about it. And I've had quite a few inquiries from Tim Green. He's out on Kingsport Road. Yeah, I'm sure that's the road. There's his neighbor out there is pushing trees off and clearing right down to the bush along the creek. And it's quite steep landscaping there down to the creek. And he's trying to level it all off. I know Tim's talked to the county and he's talked to the Conservation Authority, and he's quite concerned about it. And I guess, Jackie, you were going to talk to the county too, were you not?
Yes, I have been talking to the county a bit about that, and I know Tim has been as well. It's a frustrating situation, I think, because they did get approvals for some of it. I don't have all the background on it. Maybe Ken can help us out on that. Have you been updated on any of that, Ken?
So through you, Mayor Rombouts, I too am still just getting up to speed on it, and I'm aware of some pieces and not on others. So I'm afraid I have about as much to contribute to the conversation as you do at this point.
I think the real concerning part is changing the landscape, the hills and stuff with the creek down there. There's no buffer at all for soil and anything going into the creek when he does all that. So
yeah, I will say that we have gotten Mr. Green in touch with the Conservation Authority, because there are some challenges in terms of certain things fall under certain jurisdictions. So things related to natural features and natural heritage fall under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Authority, whereas things related to woodlots sometimes fall under Tim, sometimes they don't. They're just not even dealt with. So it's a whole series of different moving parts that we're trying to sort out for him.
So I guess I don't agree with with what they're doing there, and if there's anything we could do to stop it or keep it from happening someplace else, we should be looking at that.
Yes, we all know water flows downhill, and when it flows fast enough, it's going to pick up everything from the topsoil to the fertilizer to everything else, and that's all going to go into that drain and into that stream and into our water system. So certainly is a concern. From the standpoint of woodlots, I'll just let council know that I am working with the county and with the Conservation Authority to look at the county's woodlot plan. And I'm also working with some people behind the scenes to see if we are going to have a carbon tax, it would be nice for those farmers that have good woodlots to benefit from that. So we're working on that as well. Trying to kind of do a balanced approach to encourage people to keep their woodlots where they are, as opposed to taking them out. Where I know council has always been concerned about that. And so I am working on it, but as everything else in politics, it takes time. So we're doing the best we can, and we'll see where we go from here. But we are watching that for sure. Did you have anything else, Councillor Westgate?
No, I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Morris, do you have anything for council today?
Nothing this evening.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mitchell? Oh,
Sorry, nothing for me, Mayor Roberts. Thank you.
okay. Councillor White? You're muted, Todd?
Sorry. I just had a call from a resident in town over the weekend about our livestock bylaw in the community, and just wondering if that could be taken care of. I think they've addressed it to our township office as well. So, yeah, and just that it's been a concern over. Well, just having livestock in town and spreading manure on somebody's property. So
In town?
in town, yep. Yes, Amanda.
We did receive a similar notice today at the municipal office, Councillor White, I can confirm. We have referred to our bylaw enforcement officer who will be conducting a site inspection.
Excellent, because I think they've complained about this about 3 times already. So.
It is the first complaint of this type the municipal office has received that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because she's mentioned it to me before. Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you. Just also to answer Councillor Westgate's question, I believe staff is working on the fence behind the scenic court. That is in process. I've had several people ask me about that as well. So it is in process and it will be up and running, getting built as soon as we can. Right now with the COVID lockdown, it's slowed things up, I believe. So hopefully we'll be able to get on to that. All right, so we're going to move on to staff items. We have a verbal update from Teresa Kletchen.
First update is on the Homestyle Maple Syrup Festival. The packing and the delivery of the maple syrup took place on March 30th. There was 6 follow-up deliveries of folks that we did hear from that hadn't received it. So thanks to Councillor Morris and lead hand Steve Thorne for looking after those deliveries. And big thanks to the volunteers that assisted. With the volunteers, we were able to get everything done in 1 day. Packing took us about 4 hours. And those that volunteered represented both fire departments, Watford and Warwick, Rotary, Watford Rotary Club, Watford Optimist Club, council members, and as well as a member from the Parks and Rec Committee, and staff also helped out on it. Big project, and I'm hoping everyone enjoyed it. And if anyone didn't receive it, we still have some bottles left that if by chance someone got missed, just to follow up with the township office, and we'll be sure to get your maple syrup bottle to you.
Thank you. And we have another update from you, Teresa.
Yes, with regards to the development of the Parks and Recreation Tourism and Culture Master Plan, we're working with Monteith Brown. Document review has been underway. Preparation of materials. So for example, we do have a sample of the proposed survey that's going to be used within the community. We're working on getting a web page up and ready within the township's website, and looking at our proposed community engagement to start the week of April 26th. So to have this survey ready for that week. We want to have all community consultation done before June, which is interesting because we wanted it to be done before the end of school. So with today's announcement, I understand they'll still be in school, but at home. And I will be following up with members of council. We're looking at to do the council interviews the week of May 3rd.
Okay,
And
great.
so those will be one-on-one interviews with members of Monteith Brown.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Teresa? I just want to say on behalf of council, thank you so much to all of our staff and to Teresa for organizing the Maple Syrup Festival. Again, this year, I hope and pray that we will not have to do it next year. I've never wanted to go to a maple syrup festival so bad in my life. So let's just pray that we can do that again next year. Okay, so we are going to move on. We're going to skip over delegations as they start at 6:30. So we're going to go to 10A, the GL report. We do need a motion to receive and file that. Moved by Councillor Mitchell, seconded by Councillor Westgate. Any questions or concerns about the GL report today? Trevor, is there anything you would like to highlight from that report?
There's nothing too significant. Insurance is in, so we're still running a little bit high, but everything other than that seems to be pretty much tracking where we expect it to be.
Okay, great. All in favor of receiving and filing that report? That is carried. And we have a considerable amount of non-action correspondence, much of it from the county, I believe, just updating everybody on what's going on with COVID. But is there anything that council wants to highlight from the non-action correspondence today? Councillor Westgate.
On 423, oh, I'm sorry, 422, the Lambton water supply. We are making a submission there to them about our needs.
Yes, we are. We are doing our plan in conjunction with that master plan. Andrew, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's correct. And this gives the public a chance to give their input. So that's the main purpose of this public information center.
Okay. Anything else council wants to highlight? Okay, we need a motion to receive and file the remainder of that correspondence. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. All in favor? That is carried. We're going to move on to action correspondence. We have a few things there. The first one was the letter from Karen Woods. I'll just let council know that I did talk to Karen right after I received that letter. I gave her a call and explained to her why we made the decision we did and offered to have her come for a tour of the waste management facility as soon as we can. And she was very grateful for that offer and is looking forward to doing that. We've done that before with the community. Usually it's in the fall. Hopefully we'll be able to do that this fall to let people know about what's going on there. Does council see any need for any further action? Karen seemed quite satisfied with my explanation. Okay, we will move on to the next piece of correspondence. Does anyone want to speak to that? Andrew, were you able to look into that?
Yep, I had a look and it should be taken care of this week.
Perfect. You don't need a motion or anything for that? Or Councillor Westgate, did you have a comment?
I was down there today. It's already been taken care of this morning.
Good.
It does need a little bit of cleanup and topsoil, maybe some grass seed when it dries up a little bit.
That's great.
But that looks like they went in and out, didn't make much damage and fixed it.
Perfect. Councillor White.
Are we scheduling some downstream clean out of that drain at all this year or not? Further down the Brown Garrett or not? Andrew,
There hasn't been anything scheduled at this point. I think, yeah, no, there hasn't been anything scheduled at this point.
I was just wondering that might help that situation just with flow. Yeah.
From what I saw, this was just a case of a tile that was stubbed in, I think had eroded over the past few years. And this was just a pretty simple fix.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you.
Councillor Westgate.
I'm pretty sure that ditch was just cleaned out about 4 or 5 years ago with treed out. And it didn't look too bad when I was down there.
Okay. Good. And then there was the City of Kitchener resolution regarding the Planning Act timelines. All right, Councillor Westgate, did you have a comment?
No, if nobody I think the timeline is fine. The faster we get these planning things through, the better off we are in a lot of times, unless Philip has a problem with the timing.
I have no problems with the timing.
Okay, then we do need a motion to receive and file the remainder of the action correspondence. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor White, all in favor. That is carried. We still have 15 minutes, so we're going to move on to staff reports. The first one is the Cao Quarterly Report. We need a mover and a seconder to have that on the floor. Moved by Councillor Mitchell, seconded by Councillor Westgate. Any questions or comments on that report? Councillor Morris. You're muted, Wayne.
In the one section, it talked about hiring people, and what is the purpose of the additional administration position? And has council approved this? I don't recall it.
It's a good question. Amanda, would you like to speak to that?
Absolutely. Thanks, Councillor Morris, for the question. So yes, as part of the budget process for 2021, an additional funding for one additional position in the municipality at the administrative pay rate was added. Consultation right now is underway through myself with a number of our staff team on the best alignment for that position. So the job description is in development still, and how it will be impacted. We're planning a report to council for our next regular council meeting to outline the scope of work for that position.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on that report? Once again, I commend staff. It was a great report. It's always good to have that update. All in favor of receiving and filing that? That is carried. We will move on to our next very helpful report, which is the current municipal service levels and COVID-19 impacts. We need a motion to receive and file those. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Any questions or comments on that report? All right, we will, all in favor? That is carried. Move on to C, contract for provision of security at municipal facilities. There is a recommendation there. We need a mover and a seconder to have that put on the floor. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Any questions or comments on that report?
Did it go out for bid at all, or it did?
It did not. Great question, Councillor Moore. So this report is one, we've been working with our current provider extensively on the design of our two new facilities, or expanded facility and new facility. And so this report is actually to request or recommend this exemption from our purchasing policy to sole source to our continued, like our existing provider, DMR. And so we've been satisfied with their service, and they've provided us some great assistance in the design and development for our two new buildings. Furthermore, the upgrade to the other two facilities outlined is necessary, whether it was with this provider or not, just based on the fact that the systems are a bit out of date.
I just wonder if we should have had another quote from Stubbs or somebody just to keep the price on us, that's all.
So I do think we did go through quite a negotiation with DMR on their pricing that you see in the report. And we did go back and forth a number of times, and we've received over the initial capital cost quoted a 7.5% discount.
Councillor Westgate?
This is just on security, right?
Correct.
Not communications or Wi-Fi or anything like that. It's just
That's
security.
absolutely right, Councillor Westgate. This is just security for all the facilities. You're absolutely correct. All internet, phone, those kinds of things are separate and apart from this. This is just our
And that's the
security for
monitoring,
facilities.
so not everybody will monitor it for us, all the buildings, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? That is carried. And we will go on to D. Project update for the Township Office Building. We need a motion to receive and file that. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Any questions or comments on that? We've all seen the skeleton of the building, I'm sure by now. It's kind of exciting to see the shape starting to take form. And our neighbors to the south are looking really good too. It's exciting when you come over that bridge. All in favor of receiving and filing that? Thank you. Go on to E, Council Administrative Inquiry Subdivision Appeals. Now that is through the county. I believe we just, yes, it's just a recommendation to receive this report for information. Does anyone have any questions? Or Councillor Mitchell, are you just moving to receive and file?
Just moving to receive and file, yep.
Thank you. Seconding that is Councillor White. Any questions or comments on that? All in favor? That is carried. Another exciting one, F, the Arena Project Tender Report. It's a good news story on that one, considering what building materials is happening right now. So we need a mover and a seconder for that recommendation. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Any questions or comments on that report? Councillor Morris?
Yes, did they give any kind of indication on a start date?
Good question. Who wants to tackle that?
Yes, so Councillor Morris, if the proposed recommendation that's in front of you now is approved this evening, we go into development of contracts. We'll get those done and it'll probably take about a week, and then we have our first site meeting. And following that, we'll start construction.
Good, keep it going.
Yes, we definitely are.
Awesome. Any other questions on that?
I've never heard of this contractor. It surprised me. They've been in business so long and I don't, Spreets are quite confident in them, I take it.
Yes, and we did, I was there for the tender opening, and we did have a long discussion about work that has been done, and I think that was included. But yeah, they're a large company that's been around for 40 years and has done work that I was familiar with. And it's funny, when you don't notice things, they are doing the Grand Theatre renovations in London. I saw that they were listed for there too. So yeah, so they have a lengthy history with Spree.
Okay, any other questions? This is the big one, guys. All in favor? That is carried and very exciting. All right, we will move on to G, the Public Works update for April. We need a mover and a seconder to receive and file that update. Moved by Councillor Mitchell, seconded by Councillor Morris. Any questions or comments on that update? Anything you would like to highlight, Andrew?
Yep, I can. I think if you've been driving around the rural parts of the township, you'll notice that the roads are starting to get fresh gravel on them, so that's well on its way. And the end of last week, there was over 5,000 tones down. So we can expect calcium. Typically, it's the week or second week after the May 24th long weekend. So that will be coming up. Municipal drains are steady as they always are. There's lots on the go. And then we have numerous capital projects that are in the design stage or waiting for contractor availability. So notably the Warwick street drainage project, that one is anticipated for the beginning to mid of July. And then the Hickory Creek Line project, the rehabilitation project, that's July 26th. So those are the notable items, as well as the brush and yard waste service. I can update that both the old existing sites are continually maintained, and appreciate the residents' cooperation as they're pretty clean. So.
Okay, great. All right, all in favor of receiving and filing that report? Or Councillor Westgate, did you have a question?
I was just, did we have any bad spots in the side roads at all this year, Andrew? They held up a lot better than I thought they would.
They held up extremely well. There wasn't any spots that I was directly notified about. I think we were fortunate. Mother Nature was on our side for another year.
Yeah.
That's 2 in a row.
I don't think it hurts that we upgraded the quality of gravel.
I think that's certainly playing a role. We've increased the quantity, and with the good pricing this year, we're able to add another 1,000 tones to the road. So
The quality's been this, we've had this quality for a lot of years, but the quantity
Yep.
probably helped.
Yep.
All right. I believe we did pass that, but we'll do it again just in case. All in favor? That is carried. All right, we have about 3 minutes, so we're going to go up to the delegation portion of the meeting because we do have some people from the public who are going to be joining us, and we want to make sure that they get an opportunity to get in to the meeting. So Amanda, did you want to let everyone in for both of those, or how do you want to do it?
Absolutely. I will let everyone in, some maybe for the first meeting, some maybe for the second, but we will let everyone in right now.
The residents' cooperation, as they're pretty clean. So.
Great. All right, all in favor? That sounded like me. I hate.
I think it was someone watching us live.
Yeah.
Also.
Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
I'm not sure if they can see us or anything.
I can hear a Brenda talking,
Yes.
but we can't see you.
You can't see us? Maybe that's best.
Just got to figure out how to do this.
We've never done this before. Like I said, I think we're
In the
done.
corner, Ron and Brenda.
Oh,
up in
hi,
the corner.
Todd.
Hey, just go up to in the corner of your
iPad.
box where your iPad. No, like in the box that you see that says Brenda's iPad, and
Yep.
it'll say show video.
I'm not sure
And
if
then
it's going to actually show up there, or not, which is fine.
Yeah.
You can take the clip off, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that was doing it.
It should add you to the video, and that goes for everybody else there too. If they'd like to.
I see all three of you guys, but I don't see our picture. But you probably don't need to see us anyway.
Yeah, that's fine too if you want to just watch
Yep.
from.
Here to be letting you see us anyway. Yeah.
We can see your smiles.
Yeah, we can see you.
Good stuff. All right, so do we have everybody in who wants to be in, Amanda?
Yes, everyone has joined again for both zoning meetings. So Mayor, I know you'll announce the name and process and order in which they're being undertaken.
Absolutely. So we're going to start with the approval of the amendment to the rezone the subject land from residential 1R1 with a holding H zone and agricultural to a new site-specific residential zone with a holding H zone. This is for the Heritage Creek subdivision. So the next item on council's agenda is the holding of the public meeting with respect to an application to amend the zoning bylaw and council's consideration of a bylaw to amend Warwick zoning bylaw 121 of 2012 on lands described as Warwick Concession 4W Part Lot 18, known municipally as 7806 Confederation Line in the Township of Warwick. The purpose of the bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject land from residential 1R1 with a holding H zone and agricultural 2A2 to a new site-specific residential 2R2 zone with a holding H zone. The purpose of this site-specific zone is to facilitate a 40-lot subdivision for the single detached and semi-detached residential dwellings. The holding H zone will remain on the property until such time that there is an agreement or plan in place for adequate provision of municipal services. I'm going to ask Amanda the method of giving public notice of the meeting and the date that the notice was given.
Thank you. Public notice for this meeting was provided by regular mail and posted on the property on March 26th.
Thank you. Any person requiring further notice of the passing of the bylaw should give their name and full mailing address to the clerk before leaving this meeting. Any persons present who wish to make oral or written submissions should provide the clerk with their name and full mailing address. And also any persons wishing to address the bylaw should ask their questions through the chair, which is myself. So we are going to proceed. The clerk will now read any written submissions.
There were no written submissions received.
Okay, thank you. I will ask Philip Ruff for his report.
Okay, thank you. So yes, the purpose of this rezoning is to change the zoning on a portion of 7806 Confederation Line. This is in order to facilitate a 40-lot residential subdivision coming in the next couple of months. So the proposed site-specific zone has a number of different development standards than the standard residential 2 zone. In terms of recommendations, planning recommends that council approve the zoning bylaw to rezone the land to the site-specific R2 zone with the Horton zone. In terms of our reasons for the recommendations, the proposed zoning is consistent with the township's official plan and provincial policy statements. This amendment will help facilitate the creation of compact development within a vacant area of the Watford settlement area that has been designated for residential purposes. So just with this specific zone, there's a couple of like 3 changes between this site-specific zone and the standard residential 2 zone. So the 3 components are the minimum lot size. So this zone will have minimum lot sizes of 400 square meters for single detached dwelling lots, whereas the standard is 500 square meters. The other one is minimum lot frontage of 11 meters for single detached lots, whereas the standard R2 lot frontage is 12 meters. And the third one is a maximum site coverage of 50% for all of the lots, whereas the standard R2 site coverage ranges between 30 and 35. So that site coverage is based off the smaller lots, but still have similar sized dwelling units as elsewhere in the community. So the moment, there is no servicing on the site. So that's why we're proposing the Horton zone, which is currently in place, but it just needs to be transferred over. As part of the subdivision, there is a forward servicing plan and traffic study required to ensure there is adequate services and road capacity for the proposed lots. That's a quick summary of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. We will hear those in favor of the bylaw first and then hear presentations from those opposed. Would you like, Mr. Calipari, did you want to speak in favor of the bylaw, or did you have anything that you want to?
Favor.
Just in favor, all right. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposed or also like to speak in favor of? Hearing none, does council have any questions or comments on the application? Councillor Morris.
I'm a little concerned on the size of these lots down to 400 square meters a little bit and a 36-foot frontage. Why are we going so small? Like why the exception?
Mr. Calipari, would you like to speak to that?
So what I wanted to have was a variety of lot sizes. The current 40 lot, the proposed plan is showing 40-foot lots up to 50 feet in width. But going forward down the road for the potential future phases, we would like the variety of 36-foot lots all the way up to possibly even 60-foot width lots, depending on where they're located in the subdivision. This is pretty popular for what's happening in London right now. Most subdivisions have this variety. What it does is diversifies the subdivision and compacts for servicing and all that, makes it a lot more efficient than, I guess, sprawling. So we're not necessarily going to be building 36s, but at least we have the option to if the markets change and economies change and whatever else happens, it helps keep the cost down of the homes. So, and there is a need for smaller product. I mean, we're going through it in London now. So this is why I wanted to have that go down just 4 feet. It pretty much got reduced to.
Certainly with seniors moving out to the rural communities, and not all of them want a large lot either. So I think it's good to have that variety.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions on this application? Seeing none, the public meeting is now concluded. Council has 15 days from this meeting to decide whether or not to pass this bylaw. Council's decision will be mailed to those who have requested a copy. Any persons or agency may appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal in respect to the bylaw by filing with the clerk of the township of Warwick not later than 20 days after the day that written notice was given. A notice of appeal must set out the objection to the bylaw and the reasons in support of the objection, plus the applicable fee to the LPAT. Thank you everyone for attending. And we will move on. We're a little bit early. We can start. I don't know if are we allowed to start, Amanda? Or would council like to address the first application?
Thank you, Mayor Rumbas. That was going to be my suggestion.
Okay. How does council want to deal with this application? Councillor White, are you moving to approve it? Councillor Westgate, are you seconding that? Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments on that? All those in, oh, sorry, Councillor Westgate.
These are about the same size as the subdivision we approved before with right thought.
Yes, the subdivision on 425 Ontario were the same size lots. They're 400 square meters. And yeah.
Okay. All in favor? That is That is carried. Congratulations, Mr. Calipari. You've got one more step down.
Thank you.
All right, we have about 5 minutes. Does anybody need a bio break or anything, since we have to stay on time with our agenda? Amanda?
We could go Mayor Runbouse. I know we do have public on the meeting, but take 5 minutes and do our minute approval to fill in a couple of minutes if you wish to do so.
That would be great. Thank you for that suggestion. So we are going to go down to our committee and other minutes, which is 14A, the minutes of the Development Committee meeting of March 2020 or 22nd, 2021. We need a mover and a seconder for those minutes. Moved by Councillor Westgate, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That is carried. Minutes of the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting of March 24th. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Morris. Councillor White, did you have anything that you want to mention from that meeting?
Just that we're working through COVID and I think the Parks and Rec team has done a great job this year, working with all the stakeholders and adjusting on the fly as things have come out over the year. So I think the whole committee has been very pleased and happy. Unfortunately, we've had the year that we've had, but I think our team has handled it well. So, thank you.
Yeah, I would second that. Thank you for those comments, for sure. All in favor of receiving and filing those minutes? That is carried. And the minutes of the special council meeting of March 29th, 2021. Need a mover and a seconder to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. All in favor? That is carried. Do we have time for a drain? I think so. I think we do. All right, we'll go to 15A, which is the petition for drainage work on the Gila land drain. We have a recommendation there. We need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Any questions or comments on that? All in favor? That is carried. We'll go to B, the petition for drainage works on the Parker drain. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Westgate. Questions or comments? All in favor? That is carried. And we'll go to the petition for the drainage works on the Welsh drain. Moved by Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That is carried. And we will award the tender for the Arts Drain number 2, 2020. Moved by Councillor Mitchell, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? It is amazing how fast councillors can spend money, I tell you. And we have one more drain to award. Moved by Councillor Westgate, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Council. That was great. We are going to go back up to our delegation since we are just shy of 1 minute. I think we can get started on our next public meeting. I am going to announce that the next item on Council's agenda is the holding of the public meeting with respect to an application to amend the zoning bylaw and Council's consideration of a bylaw to amend Warwick zoning bylaw 121 of 2012 on lands described as Concession 5, SER Part Lot 19, RP 25R 3343 Parts 2 and 4, and Concession 5, SER Part Lot 19, RP 25R 3343 Parts 1 and 3, known municipally as 521 Victoria Street in the Township of Warwick. The purpose of the bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject property from the residential 1 R1 to residential 3 2 R32 The purpose of this rezoning is to facilitate a multi-dwelling fourplex unit. Multi-dwelling buildings are only permitted within the R3 zone, so a site-specific rezoning is proposed. Amanda, can you let us know the method of giving public notice of the meeting and the date, please?
Absolutely. Notice of the meeting was given by regular mail and posted on the property on March 26, 2021.
Okay, thank you. Any person requiring further notice of the passing of the bylaw should give their name and full mailing address to the clerk before leaving the meeting. Any persons present who wish to make oral or written submissions should provide the clerk with their name and full mailing address. Also, all persons wishing to address the bylaw should ask their questions through the chair. The clerk will now read any written submissions.
There were none.
Thank you. The planner will now give his report.
Thank you. So the purpose of this rezoning is to, well, the plan is to create a 4-unit multi-board dwelling, which is the use, complex on the subject lands. And the only zone that currently allows this is the residential 3 zone. So in terms of recommendations, planning recommends that council approve the zone bylaw to rezone the subject property from residential 1 to residential 3, site-specific 2. So it's a site-specific zone. So the subject property is located within a residential neighborhood, is close to Neville Road, and will be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed reduced setback, which is the purpose of the site-specific zone, is required to ensure that the proposed development remains compact and to ensure efficient use of the land. So it is in the interest of all communities within the province to use land and resources wisely and promote efficient development patterns while protecting resources, green areas, and also to ensure effective use of infrastructure and public service facilities and minimize unnecessary public expenditures. So the subject property will be able to connect to the township's infrastructure, but will need to install connections and extend, I believe it's the storm sewer, which ends just east of the site. So under the township's official plan, there are a number of considerations stated which, a number of considerations for development of medium density dwellings, which is what this use is. These developments should be located in proximity to an arterial road, such as Nauvoo, and should be buffered from abutment low density residential development. So all proposals for medium density development are subject to site plan control and must complete the site plan application process. So during this stage, this is where buffering and screening may be included to fit this neighborhood into the zone. So maybe a fence around the outside or hedge, just to act as a barrier between this development and this low density residential. So the main purpose of the site-specific zone is to permit a smaller side yard setback than normally required within the standard R3 zone. So the draft development proposals side yards of 2.1 meters and 2.4 meters, whereas the standard setback is 3 meters. So this reduced setback will make efficient use of the land. That's a summary of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. We will hear from those who would like to speak in favor of the bylaw first, and then hear presentations for those opposed. Anyone here like to speak in favor of the bylaw? I'm assuming, Mr. Shea, that you're in favor of it.
Yes, we're in favor of the project.
Okay. Does any members of council have any questions for the application? Councillor White.
Just a quick question. In terms of fencing, Jeff, are you planning a fence around the perimeter or around the back, or what you plan?
We're definitely open to some form of barrier between one property and another. Still working through that with the site plan, with the landscape plan. I'd like to do something green, such as a hedge, instead of a wood fence that needs maintained over time. But of course, you know, it's all up in the air at this point until we get the zoning to be able to really push forward. But the plan is, our idea originally is to put some kind of shrubbery and hedging around the outside of it. And they would be 4 separate properties.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You bet.
Councillor Morris and then Councillor Westgate.
Yeah, Jeff, these are a single floor, right? So it'd be great for seniors.
The proposed at this point is to single floor with a basement. So it'd be 2-bedroom, single car garage, all on the same, on one level, and not to be rentals. It'd be,
okay.
We want to sell these. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you. That's great.
You bet.
Great. Councillor Westgate, did you have a question?
That was really my question.
Okay. Great minds think alike then. Does anyone else have any questions or comments to speak to this? I'm seeing Beth Steele. You are muted, sweetie. You're going to have to unmute.
I muted because I didn't know how to go about talking. My concern is I live right in back of this. And when I bought my home, I was told it was zoned residential 1. So I'm a little concerned that now we're changing the zoning anyways. When I hear hedge, I don't like that. I would prefer a fence. When will we get specifics? Because I'm not sure how this all goes. When will we get specifics on what it'll look like, what the barrier between my property and that will be, what the impact on my property will be, those sorts of things. I'm new to this process. I never dreamed that this would be happening. So how does this work? I guess is my question. I want to know, when will I find out if it's going there? When will I find out what it's going to look like? And when will I find out what the barrier between it and my home will be?
Okay. Philip, would you be able to speak to that, or like what the plan?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the site plan will be following the hopefully the new zoning once it gets designated, and there are setback requirements for that. I believe the draft site plan was included in the package, which shows the preliminary lot placement of the building on the site. So that should give you a good idea as to.
There was really nothing that showed how big it was going to be. I didn't see that on what I was given. So I'm confused when you're saying it was in that letter.
Yeah, it's not in the letter. So that site plan is actually in the council package. So if you go online and you can actually download the council package, you can actually see the footprint of the building. We don't have pictures as what it's going to look like if you're standing in front of it. We don't have those, but we do have the general footprint of the building. So see if I can break it up. So the preliminary one is.
I can go online and look. That's fine. I can go online and look.
Yeah, so it's 10 meters off the front. And then that puts it, Jeff may be able to help me out roughly how far off the back end.
Yeah, Jeff, did you want to speak to kind of what you have in mind?
Or Ray could possibly help out too.
Yeah, I could speak to that. The houses it's about 10.78 to the porch, so which is about 35 feet. So probably it's closer to 40 feet building from the back property line. And it's about 35 feet off the front property line. And we will, when we finish up our site plan, we will include fencing, and we'll show how the rear yard and front yard is graded for stormwater management. So we didn't show that yet because we'll do that as soon as we get the rezoning. So I assume there'll be another meeting for site plan approval. Is that true? Yeah, so there'll be the drawings to be distributed at that time to see the details.
Hey, Jeff, did you have any comments to that?
No, this is a new process to me too, right? So I'm learning quick of all the different steps, and I guess all I really want to say is that I get calls quite often that people are looking for something like this in the Watford area because they've had to. There's some of these in Petrolia, there's some in Forest, there's some in Strathroy, and not everybody wants to move away if their hometown is Watford. So that was the initial part of the thought process, and our plan is to build something that is going to complement the neighboring properties, and there'll be we're shooting for 1,250 square feet with a between brick and siding, very modern look, and that's what our proposal is.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments from the floor?
Well, I was just wondering when is the next meeting? Because I assume this isn't approved yet. So you have to go through an approval process. When will we find out if it's approved or not approved?
I believe we will be approving or not approving the this part of this tonight, and beyond that, the site plan will be up and coming. Phil, do you have a timeline for that?
Not at this point. We're still waiting on the, sorry, Amanda, we're still waiting on the application coming from Northbrook. There is a severance proposed for May, just to create the 4 lots from the 2. But the site plan process has not started yet.
Okay.
So you'll be approving the zoning change tonight?
Yes.
But
Mr.
to-
Spring.
If I may, sorry, just to Mrs. Steele's comment, if she'd like to contact the municipal office, we can walk her through the next stages. So there is a severance application going on May 4th, but we can talk about when the site plan application will be coming. And it will also come back to council. It's not a public meeting in this way, but you'll be able to register if you would like as a delegation to make comments. So I think we have your contact information on file because you registered for the meeting. So we can follow up with you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we did register for the other meeting. I was under the impression that was the meeting for the zoning though. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yep.
It's always good to have good communication between residents and developers and all of that. Mr. Spring, did you have a comment that you'd like to make?
Just a quick question. The quadplexes that are on Scenic Drive have the parking at the back, and of course that's possible because it's on a corner lot. Where is the parking going to be for these quadplexes? Would it be out in front of the building, or is that going to be out back as well? Will there be like an access between the quadplexes?
Mr. Shea, did you want to answer that?
Yes, they'd be in front of the building. Not the rear of the buildings would all be just landscape lawn.
Okay, so they're going to have driveways out front then?
A driveway out front to a single car garage, yes.
I'm picturing similar to what is in Strathroy on the way to Bear Creek.
Very
Is that
similar.
what you're
Yeah,
very similar.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a garage and then a small house and a garage and a small house and
Yeah, garage and an entranceway and a garage and an entranceway, and,
Yeah.
and all connected. The building would be one connected building, but 4 individuals, sold as 4 individual lots.
Councillor White.
I was just wondering if Amanda might be able to share the screen with the property layout, because I think that would answer a lot of questions quickly. Thank you.
Thank you for that
I
suggestion.
can. I may need just a moment if there are any other questions while I look it up.
Amanda, I have it open if it would be faster.
That'd be great. You can go ahead and share your screen, Ken. Thank you.
Just see. Can you see that?
Yep.
Just make this go away.
So kind of a nice little side unit setup.
Yeah, so just further to Mr. Shea's comment, here's Victoria Street here. So here's the proposed driveways, and you can see the garage is noted with the triangles.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's very helpful. So it will be single story with the basement to give adequate amount for seniors, and I think it's okay. I think we're good. Any other questions on that? Okay. Seeing none, the public meeting is now concluded. Council has 15 days from this meeting to decide whether or not to pass the bylaw. Council's decision will be mailed to those who have requested a copy. However, I think we'll probably go ahead and make a decision tonight. Any person or agency may appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal, LPAT, in respect to the bylaw by filing with the clerk of the Township of Warwick no later than 20 days after the day that written notice was given. A notice of appeal must set out the objection to the bylaw and the reasons in support of the objection, plus the applicable fee to the LPAT. Thank you everyone for attending. I'm going to ask council how they want to deal with this application. Councillor White.
I move the application.
Okay. Councillor Morris, are you
I
seconding?
second the application.
Okay, any more questions or discussion on that? Councillor Mitchell, or you vote?
Just a quick comment, if I can. And in favor of I am in favor of the application. However, Victoria Street is becoming very well populated now with the addition of Warwick Quality Care, with the new Victoria Manor development, and now with this. Just wondering if we can maybe look at big picture too, some traffic calming measures on Victoria Street. Residents have kind of approached me in that regard. So just a further conversation on that would be beneficial.
I believe all of that is looked at during the site plan process, is it not, Philip?
Not necessarily the traffic calming on the street. We take a look at whether or not, I don't think this is going to trigger a traffic study, just being 4 units. Typically that's more of a larger scale residential development. So we'd have to have discussions with Public Works on that and do other research. I don't think it'd be part of this application. We'll see when the site plan comes in, when we take it to the development committee and see if they want a traffic study done.
Okay. I think it's a great addition to this area, and I think it's right in line with what we're looking for. And I agree with Jeff. I've had a lot of people say we need more places like this. We have more and more seniors who are aging at home as opposed to going to long-term care facilities. And I think it's a real need. So I appreciate this application personally. Amanda, did you have a comment?
I do. Just to Councillor Mitchell's point about traffic just generally. So as Phil outlined, we do consider that as part of every development application, and sometimes a traffic impact study is required. Again, in this case for this development, I don't think that will be triggered. But for some of the other developments that you cite on Victoria Street, on the west side being 460 Victoria Street, and also the proposed expansion at Watford Quality Care, the traffic impacts would be reviewed at the site plan stage in both of those, and we would take advice from our Public Works Department and our Planning Department on whether or not any measures or adjustments were needed based on anticipated traffic volume. So just so you know, it will be taken in larger scale developments, in case that wasn't clear. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
That's good to hear. All right, any other questions or comments? All in favor of that is carried. Congratulations, Jeff. That's one more step down. We're all new to some of this development stuff, and it's kind of exciting to see it happen. So, all right.
Welcome to growth.
What's that, Ken?
I said, welcome to growth.
Yeah. Lots of fun. All right, council. We have accomplished quite a bit. We are going to go down our agenda to number 15A, new business. Oh, we did all of those drains. So we are on to our in-camera portion of the meeting, it looks like. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We do need a motion to go in camera. Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Councillor Mitchell, all in favor? That is carried. So we will be saying goodnight for all of our YouTube viewers. We appreciate you coming. We will be returning into open session. However, we won't be returning to YouTube as it's just a matter of closing out the meeting. So thank you for joining us. Yeah. All right. We're getting better at this, council. We spent a lot of money in that meeting. I was just thinking as we approved a lot of stuff. Oh, we're still live.